collects has been going to administrative costs and taxes, TRA. The biggest percentage of UPRS collections have been going to administrative costs and taxes.
Uganda agambye sente nyingi nnyo UPRS zibadde etunganya zibadde zigenda kubeezawo ofiisi kusasula abakozi yaka amazzi kugula kompyuta naye ne portion endala negenda mu misolo.
Now, it's not a question. As for that. So of course that presented a problem for us. Because that means the whole purpose of the CMO being there is to pay artists their royalties. But if most of the money is going to some other things, then it brings into question, what's the point? Of course, they realized there was an issue of compliance. A lot of people were supposed to be paying money for UPRS are not willing to comply. So the collections are so much, because the administrative costs are constant. Those ones are constant. URA, that's a constant. So all we can do is try to increase the collections. But compliance cannot happen without cooperation from UCC, URA, and blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm sure you guys have all seen this presidential the copyright thing that came out. And the gist of that was that the president believed that without equitable distribution, what do I mean by equitable? Money was being distributed on an equal basis. If we are all members of UPRS and we have collected 50 million, but Daddy Andre has been having 5 hit songs last year, Allan plus had a hit song 10 years ago, they would get exactly the same amount of money. What would that cause? When you give Daddy Andre 50K, after he has had his hit songs, he would go mad and say, yo, I've been working myself crazy and you're giving me 50K. But the issue was, everybody's getting the same.
Okay, I have an answer for that.
Relax. So, this was highlighted. So the recent initiative from the president to do those monitoring things that you had them talking about in conjunction with the UCC engineers was to address that issue that buliomu afune kyakoledde. So meaning, everyone gets the same bichakwanatebichaliwo. So if $1 million has been collected, abadde afulumya ennyimba nga trading agenda kufunamu. Abadde tafulumya ennyimba nga yasembalyo 5 years ago ne baba nga ali member era ajja kufuna katono. Equitable. But that solves the basis problem. But yet again, people don't want to pay because people are used to consume music for free. Omuntu amaze emyaka 2 nga akosa byabwerere. So this is where UCC URA comes in, because they have to enforce this not as an optional thing, because this is a product where artists, producers, songwriters, remember all these people are represented by UPRS. Ne songwriter no access by UPRS, ne producer no access by UPRS, all those people. But they come up with amanyi esente. So we need not only to inform people that you have to pay for a product because people invest money, time and effort in it, but we also need UCC, URA and these other government agencies to make it clear that this is not an optional thing where you pay if you want, if you don't want, you don't pay. And I want to highlight those who have been saying, Nigeria, we have what we call reciprocal agreements between CMOs of one country to another. Aba Nigeria states are bazagala basitubanja bulijjo, they say CMO ya Uganda eri week tetuwa sente. They send emails. Never Chris Brown, they are record labels, they are CMOs, BMI, ASCAP. They say us we collect and we give you for Andre's music in wherever. Also you collect in your country for Chris Brown and give us. What does that mean? The only way you will escape is if you don't play music at all.
So I'm sorry, let me answer my brother. For the money, zebaleta ne bawa UPRS bichibichezo. Temaze tunulira kubasiza mwe. Why? Imwe, you don't want to submit in your work. You want the songs themselves to go and submit in the UPRS you get database. But that's why I said if we get management, these things will be done automatically by the team. So Abayimbiii, if you are part of UPRS, submit. You have hit songs, yes, but did you submit to the collecting ode? So sente zibajja ne babawa nti towadde UPRS akasente. I think the same UPRS that's but this is just a wisdom like uchaba nti zino sente za UPRS nti for it's a project intino tubabi bana abantu bakola naye wakalwa kubatta tukiridde tebafuna sente mulimu gwe bakola ate nga body eri mu government babaswala. They have to cater ebintu byonna ebibabibulamu era ne office yasooka ya UPRS yali mbi yakalika office mikabi. So right now they've just gotten a serious office. Lwaki imwe bennyini bakama babali abantu UPRS, you don't want to submit in the songs. Ate nga muli bayimbi bangi, how can you submit in a song ku TikTok nga kyali ono wanewe Uganda tomwadde mulimu? Let us share ourselves jobs. Let us do the opportunities. Let us give them to our fellow Ugandans. So the Chris Brown neba mobba okitegeera. Chris Brown tulina mobba kwana ffe batubba. Why? Because view oba play eri Bulaya naffe batusalako sente bajja ku mateeka gano okitegeera. So naffe batukuba babayale sebo. I'm telling you, and you know the truth. So submit in UPRS buli kimu kijja kugwa. I think UCC technically it has its own job nayo etereze ebintu byayo, but bwe mukole emirimu musubmitting in so mufune management abatasobola bifuna. Yeah, I think that's okay. Temwekutula
operate Uganda yo yanjawulo nnyo system tesobola okukola ate musenda akikola musenda kwakula batya.
So tulina kye bayita etteeka oba amateeka agatwala amateeka okitegedde according to the region. Nawe olina apps z'okulawo ne bakugamba nti mu nsi yammwe tokkirizibwa kukozesa ki app eyo. Ekintu kye bayita omusolo kintu kinene nnyo. Bwe mulowooza nti n'abakofi be bokka balina okusasula omusolo. These are all commodities that we are playing with. Even the apps is a business. Kikola nabagambye yenna ng'oli muyimbi ebintu bino nga toli technically ready to face these problems because bijja basumbuwa. Let us ask ourselves ng'omanyi nti ebintu abimanyiiko nze nyinza okuba mbyogera naye sijja bikuyamba because I'm not technically operator for that. Naye oyinza okusanga bashadraka babimanyi buuza bano abantu abakola yugatuni apps abali awo babimanyi kati abo kuba balina such businesses. Then etteeka gyeriri eritwala amateeka kati gawula abantu tulina UPRS basayininga oyajja ne bakanya ne gavumenti nti UPRS yokka yebekola ki yebekolekitinga kiba kitegeeza yatomeza dda gavumenti. Kati eri etteeka olwedde balisayininga paka contracting eweddeko awo tulyoke tuzukuke tudde bujja. Kati ebintu ebimu ebyamateeka tubinyumyeko naye tulowooze kisoboka. Let us first change our structure model of work. Bano abantu tebajja kuddamu frontinga muyimbi atamanyi technical work, bajja kuyita ba producer, bajja kuyita bana ba app biki because it's still private sector gye tuliko because fena tulina ofunamu naye tulekerawo okwerimba nti ffe twafuse ba government nga fake government. This is still private sector. Let us just let the technical people do their job. Abatasobola temujja na meeting wezi kuba mujja tulumya emitwe mbalabye nnyo, and this is the reason why tubadde tukayananga nnyo myaka ku myaka because people who don't know this kind of things mwe bali bangi ate kati ffe batuyita abalalu. Kati ndowooza temujja nga toli technically ready to operate.
Thank you so much.
Oluganda n'oluzungu. Commission eina department Shadrach jagezezaako okunyonyola. It's a fund eyo looks out for all sectors that are underserved or unserved. It has communities, would call them, but it does not work independently. We work with the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, but it's a government arm. So we look at the National Planning Authority, we look at the strategic plan for Uganda. We look at everything that when the government says something, we try to see how can ICT come in to help. Story yonanga Shadrach wagisomye, weyaja nagisomera management. Management is like, it's a good idea. And abavubuka bangi abagirimu, we want to keep them engaged. How can we work with them as well? I think that's how the commission came up. Ne to partnering nabo. We are experts in certain areas, but we partner with somebody else who has better expertise in a certain sector than us. Ne tukola nabo. So about that relationship, it's a phased approach. I'll try to break it down. We supported the development of the platform, but we've also asked him to do the skilling. Because people do events, so it shows the interest. But here's other districts he has to go to, because nayo, while you're creative, arts and content, things like that. Now, I'll try to talk about the challenges they will get there. There was infrastructure, there was devices, and there was cost of internet. Infrastructure, so without that, to internet, even if it's a voice. The companies, you know, a network operator, MTN, Airtel, they look out for where they have business cases. Now the fund again comes in, because it has to serve all Ugandans. Neteka musente, negamba na wano, we mutala business case, feka tusimbeyo mulongoti, business will come up slowly. So we know those areas, we identify them, then netugezako okulaba nti wagenda yochi, infrastructure. Yes, there might be issues with the quality, but at least it's something we know and we are working on to see that we try as much as we can to cover a big part of the country. So it's infrastructure, but it brings in what we call coverage. Mubang coverage area, then it's senior jaksobola okola. Okola either voice or internet, which you've talked about, and maybe the sector is now moving more to internet than voice, because even with internet, you can, and of course, I saw URA as part of this, and devices are still taxed. The commission is still fighting because device penetration is low, and we are trying to fight. But we have a new project, again under that fund, that we are trying to explore. It's what we are calling device subsidizing. We want to look out for communities, groups, sectors, where we can subsidize the phones. We will work with partners who are experts at these devices. Then we see if we pay half, how much can the other person pay? And it can be, you know, spread over a period of time. So that's how we are coming in regarding devices. But we can't tell you that the government will stop taxing them, because they also need revenue. So unless we give them an option, which we don't have. So that's how we are trying to come in. Yeah, I think that's enough. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Susan. And I want to commend UCC for their commitment in supporting the creative arts sector in Uganda. Thank you so much. I'll pass the mic over to Abasa. Abasa, many artists start and enter this business through passion based to making it a real business.
Thanks a lot. I think the most important thing is to understand the business within which you're trying to enter. Earlier, one of the panelists spoke about buying land in Gaza, that 100 million will, you know, triple or something in a couple of years, because that area of business is very well researched, and a lot of people understand how land is valued and how it grows over time. Whereas in the music business, not so many people know how to make money out of music. Not even many people know how to distribute. And I applaud the guys at Yuga Tunes for coming up with stuff like this. because we need to teach as many people how the industry works. If there's no data, you can't invest. You as the investor, you can't put any money. You talked about the gap between capital and labor. I can't put money in something that I don't understand. So I feel like, and a lot of artists right now are self-funded. So I feel starting from understanding what the business is about, how you can be able to capitalize on it. What are you selling? Are you selling streams? Are you selling performances? Are you selling ads on your YouTube channel? There's so many streams of money that you can be able to make. And also, I guess networking, that's one of the things that we don't do. We don't go out and meet the people from Spotify or people from labels. We feel like we can do everything on our own. So I feel networking allows you to give a small percentage. I would rather have 5% of whatever Adele is earning than 100% of what because I also used to release music. I own 100% of it, but yeah. So yeah, I think sharing, let me put it that way, or knowing that there are people who have expertise. I do partly agree with what Andrea was talking about, that people might need management. But I think maybe I would just change it and say you need the right management. You need to know the people who understand the business and then find ways of doing deals with them, as opposed to just anybody who walks up to you and says, you need to be a manager. Yeah.
Okay, also just lastly before I get, okay, I'll pass that to later. Let me come to Conrad. Conrad, Original Theatre, or you're in theatre, how are people within theatre leveraging on digital platforms to distribute content and over the stage, get there with Charlie, and yet people no longer go to the theatre?
So basically, in the past, access to theatre was a little bit dictated to physical venues and extensive marketing and traditional media. But today, the digital revolution has offered us access to reach global markets. Platforms like Power Magic channels and Afro-Mobile have helped the new producers access stories of like the legendary people like Senkubuge, Abayimbiii, Mariam Dahili, the likes and so, to be re-digitalized in new formats so that it does not just stop on stage, but stories are told nationally. When you look at where we started from, the National Theatre is like 377 seats. So by that time it was okay to have a national theatre with those number of seats. Kampala had like 10 million people, a population of 10 million people. So it was very, very okay to have a theatre like that, and the stories used to be around that. But with the emergence of digital platforms and the emergence of new broadcasting platforms like Power Magic Prime, we have had a really good show like Sanyu, which has helped to pave way into new audiences. And with Afro-Mobile, they did something with Ebony's last year that also helped to tap into new audiences. So with the emergence of platforms like this, we're definitely on the right track, because the theaters are not properly, the existing theaters are not properly funded, and the government has failed to build us new spaces that can be muchine ekiseera kyaffe ezirina hype abantu ze basobola okugendamu. Tewakyali muvubuka yenna asobola kutuula mu national theatre ekyo oba Kibbate Valley Theatre. They are too disgusting, I must say. So zino apps okujja zituyambako okubeera nga tufuna ku ssente ezandibadde limited ku bantu ebisa 377. Our stories are being told at a wider span, and the platforms are enabling us by giving us that money as well. Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Conrad. I'm going to go to Barbara. Barbara, we've seen a lot of structures being implemented in the creative arts sector, the Federation, National Culture Forum, UNCC, New Board, and all those other developments. How have these helped the creatives earn better from their works, and also, you know, increase on their ability to earn from their talents.
Thank you, Douglas. Once again, the name is Baba Ra Muyinda, and I'm a corporate consultant, legal entertainer. We were in Kujam field. Abasa, please, could you kill the words you said? Because all the great talents that we have in Uganda, most of them, either going abroad, either doing what Abasa is doing. They are all saying, at one time I used to sing, but now everyone is trying to step out of the game. Please, we still need you in the game. So back to the question, the structures. We know that for a long time, or even since history, most of us here are below independence time of Uganda. The music sector has always been informal. So it is only about 7 years ago when I think everyone picked interest. The late Radio Moses stood up and jumped on the table, said, "Mpamba ikibichi." We started hearing Save Ugandan Music. Fast forward, we had the COVID coming in, and then musicians realizing, hey, we need to work together. So that's when we started hearing Uganda Musicians Association. And with the structures, as Ugandans as we are, we don't believe in these things. We always want to find what is not going right is where we concentrate. But if all artists realized what was going to happen by this time, I think we would have rushed to collectively join hands and push pressure to have everything structured within a short time. Still, to emphasize, please let us join these bodies and entities, because we are only delaying ourselves and delaying the development of the industry by stepping aside. Shadrach, we applaud you for this exercise, and I will take back a good feedback, because previously we would call artists and no one wants to turn up. Like the lady was saying, the film guys film, but we take our film, but we take our music. They call us as DJs. Everyone wanted to be alone. Yet the industry is like this hand. We have to work in together, you know. The producers can't be alone, the consumers themselves can't be alone, the publishers, it's a whole value chain. So the structures are, right now I would confidently say that we are at the level of a federation. The federation simply accommodates all these other associations. Why is it important? As an individual artist, Daddy Andrew was saying it, Abasa is saying it, that you need a team or you need management and what. But the first thing is what identifies you as a Ugandan artist. It is an informal sector, free entry, free exit. So that's how it has been. There is no way we shall develop or have any practical regulations. The things they were talking about, Uganda is giving us a slot with Uganda Development Bank. It cannot be possible without having all these structures in place. So the structures first are to identify us as creatives. That's when you can break down and say this is an association for film, this is for music, this is for what and what. You must have an identification for the kind of work you're doing, even as a citizen. Most times we think that musicians should be taken, or creative should be taken special besides other sectors. But we are citizens of Uganda, and we are eligible to paying taxes as any other citizen. So why you see that there are people who don't want to invest in the sector, there is a lot of this TVs. Douglas is from a media house. He has no way, NBS has no way of paying artists, because we have not given them a reason that what you're paying us is actually going to the actual beneficiary. Right now, Council, just to inform you, you were saying the split sheets may not work and what and what. The industry has never had split sheets. So it is a culture we are just trying to learn, and we are going to sensitize the artists. So there is a lot to talk about, but to break it down in the interest of time, the structures are very important for us. If we are at the level of a federation, it means that we have associations across the country.
Thank you.
And just a minute, please. We have 25 associations which represent the 19 sub-regions of Uganda. And those are what come to be accommodated under one umbrella, which is called the Federation. So as I close, well, we start from the Ministry of Gender, the alignment of the industry, then you come down to the Uganda National Culture Center, or what we call the National Theatre, which accommodates all property of the industry. Then from there, in policy, we are supposed to have the National Culture Forum. Then the National Culture Forum is supposed to accommodate or pass regulations or be an overseer of federations and associations. Then from NCF, you come to the federation, then you go down to the association, then you go down to the major label, then you go down to the record labels, you go down to the studios, then to the artists. So it is a lot that we need to learn and address ourselves to, but in this short time, that's what I could say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ra, for that extensive analysis. Let me go to Council. Council, we had a heated argument around the copyright management system. The other day I was hosting Dr. Hildeman, and he was mentioning that that should have been the last of the things that should have been given to the creative arts sector. Are you in sync with them? Do we need the law first, or we should appreciate what we have been given at the moment?
Well, it's a bit tricky. It's a delicate balance actually, because first of all, amendment of what we had as a Copyright Act has been long overdue. 2006, there was a lot not in place compared to what we have now. So now the question remains, now what amendments do we need? First of all, you want the musicians, the artists, and whoever is in the art business generally to benefit from what they do. Secondly, how do we achieve this? It's what laws we bring in place. Just like I said earlier, I've read that law exhaustively, and I still believe there is room for improvement. I'll give you an example. Just 2 months ago, the Central Bank of Uganda released what they call the consultative paper on the central bank digital currencies. All over the continent, Africa, one of the reasons big tech companies like Meta, among others, has been giving for not monetizing content here. Say you uploaded anything on Facebook, elsewhere they pay for that. But here and in other African countries, they don't. First of all, they say, our market isn't valuable. The other thing, our currency is so, like it over fluctuates, it isn't stable. How do you solve that? That's where the digital currencies come in. And when Bank of Uganda took this on, it was a very welcome thing, and they rolled out that consultative paper to hear from all stakeholders. I'll assure you for a fact, I reached out to National Culture Forum myself, because apparently they are the apex body taking all artists, asking them, actually made a proper presentation to them, showing them how this could boost the payment infrastructure for artists. And I was trying to pitch it to them that maybe we could reach out to the bank and tell them how it could work for us and how we would want it to work. But to this date, just as of yesterday, the last I checked, apparently they needed a budget to give in their input. So that is at that. Now, I wonder, there is that act in place. Yes, you're going to collect the money, but then how do you distribute it? It remains a loophole, a big one at that. Because you don't want a situation where you're going to collect billions of dollars or shillings, then the other fight we are going to have just after this is, say I'm any artist in the room, I'm not getting my money, simply because there is no payment infrastructure. So I would advise, first of all, that the people behind the act, I applaud your efforts. It's a great job behind it, but then you should consider such things as well, the payment infrastructure. Digital currencies is, I should call it a silver bullet. It's going to solve all that, and not just here, but even globally. Just like I said, Meta and all its friends, whoever, that's their complaint about our market. The other thing, Douglas, to answer your question, we need the law, but before the law, or maybe we need a better law than what they are bringing, but yes, we need it.
Thank you so
Then
much.
just
Okay.
to conclude, yoga tunes, it's a very interesting thing, I must say. But then to the team, first of all, thank you. It's such a bright idea. But then you also have a big role to play now. Because I'll ask any of us in the question, the question, You realize Uganda, Spotify individual subscription per month is 10,000. In the US, it's about $11 US. It's not by mistake that someone here pays 10K and in the US, in Ugandan currency, they're paying 30,000. Where this comes from, it comes from the agreements you, the distributor, has with those people at Spotify or wherever. I'll assure you, artists in the US have crazy agreements. Crazy in the sense that they ask for a lot. Or let me put it this way, they ask for their word. So you got if I give you my music as a Ugandan artist, I don't expect bare minimum. You should be in position to negotiate very good deals with Spotify and wherever you're taking that music. I know it's a delicate balance because you still want Spotify to be affordable here, but then the artist should as well benefit. The 10K works for us, the consumers, it's cheap. But then the artist isn't getting his word. I don't know if I'm driving the point home. So what YouGatUnes does in this scenario is for them to negotiate better deals with all the streaming sites. We've had TuneCo and all those others, but they're not Ugandan, so they can't relate to what our troubles are. Now, getting YouGatUnes, first of all, it's welcome, but then I would request that they do a better job than what we had before them. Thank you, Douglas.
Thank you so much. I'll go to Abasa. Abasa, why is it that we don't have music business as a course in most of the learning institutions in this country, and yet we seem to have a huge number of creatives, artists, springing up day by day, but they don't have like a particular place for them to go and learn these skills, how to manage their digital distribution, and all other skills.
I think it takes a bit to be able to invest in the creative sectors. There are not so many schools that are teaching the arts. I mean, there are people who are teaching like visual arts, but if you come to things like video, animation, you'll find 2 schools in the entire country. And personally, I believe it's a cultural issue because we culturally have not looked at the arts as a career that makes sense. Most of the careers that make sense are either a lawyer, engineer, and so to come up and say, I want to be an artist and I want to actually study, the assumption is you come when you know how to sing, right? Or you come when you know how to, I don't know, sing and sell the music as well. So to be able to invest in that, for a school to be able to advertise the course, develop a curriculum, hire faculty to teach. There are not as many educated on the African industry. You'll find a lot of people who are educated on the West. And to answer what you were saying, Council, the issues with the Spotify and all these streamers are issues that are all over the globe. It's not just Uganda. Even $10 is not enough for artists to earn. And as we are paying $3 or under $3, so it's a general issue that everybody's discussing. But people who are trained on the West are not trained on issues that are applicable locally. So we are not able to find local solutions, a local curriculum. We also don't like sharing. That's one of the things I don't understand about our country, but we are just like, I won't tell anybody what I know, because I really want to make it on my own. So you might look around for teachers or faculty, but you will fail to find people who are willing to give you the secrets and be like, this is actually how you pitch for a playlist, or this is how you sign a contract. So I feel like those are the main issues that I find.
Okay, I'll pass the mic to Engineer Susan. Engineer Susan, how is Uganda Communications Commission helping us with fast-tracking the copyright law?
Era awunkute bulungi kubanga yes, I work with the commission. I don't want to speak much about it. Our legal team is in a better position, so just allow me not to really say much about it, but I'll take the feedback and ask them but I'll ask, are you comfortable? Because I heard the lawyer say there are things lacking. If you've been given the opportunity to input, please make sure you do a good law, because reviewing it will take time. Otherwise, tujagitekayo, then kino bakirekayo. But we bababuza okwogera ebintu ebyo mwabyogera abasobola obiteekayo. That's what I can say.
Byogera, I can confirm, because there were consultative meetings across the nation, and people input their voices as creatives. Lwakuba liruddeyo. your management system wakitegedde osobola kitumenyeramenyeramu oba nekyo nakyo tukireke copyright management system?
No. Era tukireke. I'm an engineer. The lawyers can do that, but I don't know how feedback we mnagifuna. But at least we can get feedback from them. Nebatunyonyola bulungi so that kitegerekeka.
What I gather is the creatives received it, but they don't understand what they received. So somebody needs to break it down in the most simplest sense for it to make sense to the creatives.
Okay, at least feedback njifunye, and I think the commission can organize a stakeholder engagement negezaako okuliteeka mu simpler language abantu bategeere ki ekyo kye bagenda okufuna. I'll try to do that and see how we can get back to the stakeholders.
Kale, thank you so much, Engineer Abasa, lawyer from Logi Barbara de Conrad, for this panel discussion. We can always continue these conversations on our social media platforms if you have an X, if you have...
Yes, I just want to clarify with Madam. Do we accept it? Consultations were done exclusively. It's unfortunate that council you seem to have come later. I did want to mention, but I'm the industry entertainment lawyer. I'm an artist and still a lawyer. So everyone in the house, please, before anything else, munetegereze bulungi nnyo. I am giving free services, these legal services pro bono. But also to ask council about the payable structure, the payment structure that you were saying. This system, I please pass the mic to her after me. She's really here.
Okay.
So this system is an entire system. It covers a lot of things. But let me just inform you these 4 things. In the issues of artists' money, it is only, the law is clear. It is only the CMO that is mandated, which is UPRS. It is the only one that collects and distributes. So there is something that we took out of the law, or government took out, that is called private copy levy, that was supposed to get taxes off every gadget that comes in the country or from the factory. That was removed out because we couldn't start from the top before even handling these small monies. Otherwise, there's a lot of money that comes out of there. So the collection and distribution is the CMO. Then there is going to be what they call licensing, that people have to have licenses to use Ugandan music. That is going to be a job of either UCC or UPRS still. That is why the law has delayed, because there are those things that we have to clarify. Then thirdly, there is what they call monitoring. The monitoring system has been very expensive. You heard Rinek saying they're going to put chips in all places that use music. That is going to be a responsibility of UCC. I beg to be corrected. Then lastly, there is something called registrations. Registrations are going to be done by URSB. It's the one that is mandated to do all registrations in the country. So, registering your copyright, URSB, licensing, UCC. All these bodies are going to work in unison. So there is a lot to learn. Copyright is a very broad topic. In Kenya, what they did, they set up a different institution to run copyright alone. So maybe that's also an argument we can have here in the country. Thank you, Douglas.
Thank you. Let me just pick 2-3 feedbacks from the audience.
Which we work on, and yet they are fully, because we collaborate as government agencies to remove duplications. Because if we can do it better than them, we can support them. Usually we work together. So we really work with the Ministry of Gender, and those collaborations are there, but probably because platform they are there's so many of them, that's why I didn't go into that detail. Then what is the creative content, creative art? I'll ask Shadrach to come and respond to that, because as the commission, when we're supporting them, and as you see the title, it's about creative content. So this taking one direction, probably he has a plan for the others as well. So he's in a better position to explain that. But for us, we looked at creative content, not only one part of that sector. Then the gentleman talked about how they had missed the document is missing again some sections on creative art. Again, it seems to be skewed towards the artists only. I'll take back that that feedback and see what can be done. Then also the policy is not favoring investors. Somebody else, I think, talked about it during the first panel as well, to see how innovatively can we come in to see that also in this sector, the investors can see how then can they enjoy any holidays that come with that. I think that's all, but just generally, we also need to think about ethics as we do all this. I think Shadrach also missed that. I think some uploads can't go up based on the content that is there. Even just a single word can make your content not go up. So probably during the scaling he's going to do around, he needs to hint on some of those things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if Abbas, you have any comments on any of the questions or not?
I think there was an interesting discussion between Andre and
Toniks.
Allan. Yeah. I think we all understand, not we all understand. If we all understood how the things work, a lot of the challenges that we are facing, the gentleman said, why is it that other countries work? And yet we are using the same laws. It's not that the law that we are talking about is different. It's that we don't know. The fact that we don't understand what this system is, and I'm just going to try and break that system down because I assume it's just a bunch of speakers in malls and bars and hotels, if I'm not mistaken, right? The copyright management system. And those systems do exist. There are several companies like BMAT or like any other company that just monitors. Even Songboost does the same technology. They just get a song and then water or fingerprint it, and then they're able to track where it's played. I feel like we are long overdue, and I'm grateful that someone's thinking about that. But either way, artists, we need to understand what does that mean. How Andre talked about uploading your songs to UPRS. No one's talking about metadata because that's how your song is going to get lost and you won't be able to get paid what you're worth. So I believe, another challenge, I feel like with discussions like this, we end up just throwing the problem to someone else. So a lot of people just say like, UCC, this one's free. And yet the Communications Commission is more of a regulator, to be honest, but writing a law is not the UCC's mandate. Writing a law is us contribute. We sit in rooms with federations, with associations, with workers' unions and say, okay, this is what we feel makes sense for us. So I think just go on Google, find out how things work, and then we can have a more productive discussion, because then it will just be like, oh yeah, these guys stole my money. Or UPRS has very high admin fees. Globally, UPRS in 2017 had about 60% admin fees. Everybody else is at about 15%. Every other company, whether ASCAP, BMI, Sky is at 60% in 2017. They amended it in 2022 and now have 40%, which is still crazy, because if you think you get 1 million shillings, 4 million goes to UPRS. They haven't even released a single song. Do you get what I mean? So I think, but I don't blame UPRS for that. I blame us because we don't know. You get, we are not in a position to come and say, okay, this is my money. I did the work. These are my songwriters, these are my split sheets, these are the contracts I signed. We don't understand any of that. We just throw the problem to someone else, either UCC or the federation or my manager. There's also that you get screwed into a very bad contract because you don't really want to understand it yourself. With that long rant, I do believe that platforms like this are very essential, and I'm really grateful for the guys from Yuga Tunes, because they're going to go educating everybody. It's one of the biggest challenges we have in our industry. We don't know. And the fact that we don't know means so many people are going to screw us, and so many people are just going to take advantage of the things that we don't know and assume that things are better in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Council, as we wrap up.
Well, thank you. Just as a parting shot, a lot has been said, and I understand we got to the point where we were speaking out of sentiment, but I would advise all the artists in here and wherever, let's put in the work, do the music, get the right manager, hire a lawyer as well. Because you don't want to fight for all this, then it starts working to ina content, So while we are doing all this, do your work, go to studio, record the music, and while at it, get the right management, hire a lawyer. In the long run, it will pay. Trust me.
Thank you. Barbara, as we wrap up.
Yes, first I would like to applaud Shadrach and the Evertunes team. Thank you for this. Yeah, and Douglas, you've done a very amazing job. Thank you. So just to respond to Emily, I think you had stepped out, but when I was starting with the industry structure, I began with the Ministry of Gender. That's the apex body. Then secondly, this issue of why music, why music? We are missing out a point. The fastest and cheapest medium of communication is what? Is music. Yes, fastest and cheapest is music. So even the argument actually should be on audio visual, because it's hard when copyright comes to an infringed film. Don't think they are going to look at the pictures, image rights first. No, the infringements are usually with the audio. So let us not think there is a clashing point or what. We just need to work together. It is a value chain to make something a creative work. So we need each other. Then lastly, why it has taken long still. Government works in 5 steps. There is preparation, planning, procedures, processes, and practice. So I should guarantee the people in this room that we are now at the level of practice. We are past the processes and we are getting to the practicing part. Then as I leave the mic, someone said, I think that Andre, that there is one CMO. No, a clarity. There is a CMO UPRS for music. There is a CMO UFMI, I think, for film. And then there is a CMO for book writers. Thank you. We shall continue the conversation.
Lastly, Conrad.
Thanks to UCC, Yoga Tunes, all development partners, and Douglas for the wonderful event. Mine is just a prayer to UCC and Yoga Tunes. I urge you to prioritize film and theater in your digital distribution framework, because we are feeling like as if we are being left out, to be honest. There is not enough efforts that are being put in film and theater. Muninga bebasulawo, tulinga bebasulawo rather. So tubasaba busabi mutulowoozeeko nnyo basebo ne bannyabo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mwena from Guinea, Susan, Conrad, Gilbert, Abasa, and then Barbara. Waji, Mazoki Yakuchai.
And certainly the audience has so many others, the promoters and the musicians, the artists themselves. But in my view, what I would love to advise the sector is that let us ensure that we embrace what we call formalization. Most of us here, the panelists, have been highlighting so much relating to formalization. And that is something that with URA that we need to see and embrace. One of my colleagues has said that but I would like to tell you one thing, that when we interrogate most of these tax issues, I will still go back to one of the consultants, and certainly Daddy Andre, that I think we also need to exhibit the elements of professionalism. Where you would seek to have tax services, it does not hurt to have a tax consultant. But for us as URA, I think we are committed. One thing that I'm learning from this, I don't know whether we can have a further discussion with Yoga Tunes. We can have also some of our information shared with you. But you know, the more you invest yourself to learn about taxes, I'll give you an example. We have people here who have made sublines, services, and they've been withheld from. So many times, whenever you make a service, they charge you 6%. But most of us don't know that that is the tax that is paid in advance. So you end up saying that whenever I go, I'm charged a certain tax, but you have